Welcome back. This is Heritage Studies Part 2. And so we left off and we're talking about bones. And this is the page you would have done earlier in the week. You would have labeled your bones using the word bank. Okay, we talked about bones in October. So I know the pages that we do in this activity book that you are working on at home, they're like pages that we would have talked about, things we would have talked about earlier in the year. So just consider these pages your extra practice, making sure that you understand things that have to do with history and science and health. Now, after bones, we're going to learn about the heart. And you see in the diagram, if the valves were running, east to west, the blood was going to the lungs. See how they're shaped different, how they have 2 chambers. This one has 3. If they were running north and south, they were taking the blood to the body. Your heart, look at that, it's beating without stopping. It's a muscle, it's an organ. And to have a healthy heart, you have to exercise. So I hope you've been doing your PE exercises every day. Next, we move on to how to protect your tooth. And you're going to learn about how your tooth has enamel, it has a crown, it has a root. If you look in your book, Health, Safety, and Manners book, if you go to page 48, you'll learn about how to take care of your teeth, how to brush, how to floss. That's so important to remove that plaque between the teeth, and why you should go to a dentist and have cleanings and see the tooth. You would have learned about the parts of the tooth. And then there was a chart in your book that you could do for fun on paper to chart when you're brushing and caring for your teeth, and a little checklist of things to do to make sure that you have a healthy mouth. Next, in your Heritage Health History Science workbook, you would start learning about the parts of a plant. Now, do you remember in September we grew a lima bean seed and we put our plant in the window of the classroom? And remember how we learned and studied in science? We studied chapter 2 and 3 in our science books at that time, the parts of the plant and how to take a seed and grow a plant. Well, now you get to think back on those things and label and cut and glue, and you're going to be thinking about plants, I'm sure, as you're maybe helping mom and dad plant things in the flower beds. Then in your book you have a maze. We talked about the importance of bees and pollinating, and all of this is going on right now out in nature. The bees are hopefully out getting that nectar, pollinating things. And then we see green thumb, giving plants what they need to grow. I don't know how it is at your house, but Mrs. Thomas doesn't have much of a green thumb. Does it really mean that our thumb is green? No, none of us were born with green thumbs. It just means you're able to grow plants and make things grow and stay alive. And we talked about earlier in the year how they need air, they need soil with nutrients, they need sunshine and water. Those were the basic things a plant needed to stay alive. Now this page in your workbook is a little more complicated about the food recipe, and you would have colored the arrows showing water and sunlight and carbon dioxide and chlorophyll. Now remember, a plant is going to make food using the energy from the sun. And we call that food the chlorophyll, and that's what makes it green. And that whole process is called photosynthesis. And then you would have done your soil search. There's a little snapshot of where all those words were in your word bank. And then the fun part, the part I love, would be labeling the life cycle. Now, if you'll look back in your book that we sent home, you will have an example of a life cycle. But I bet you would remember to start with the bean, right? Here's a little sneak peek. And that would have been all for this week. The next time you do your heritage studies, you get to move away from body parts and plants, and you get to think about food chains. Okay? So look at that big shark. That's going to be fun to talk about. All right. Well, remember, you can pull this book out. You actually have this book at your house. Health, Safety, and Manners. I want you reading about how to take care of yourself, how to stay safe, and how to use those good boy and girl manners. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye-bye, boys and girls. Love and miss you.